Okay, okay. So, what are you doing here and who are you anyway? For some, a philosophical question. For others, a weekly check-in on Saturdays and Sundays. But for us, it's about branding. What do we need to know about our brand? We need to know about ourselves. Particularly in our situation, we're setting up a new practice and you want to know as much about yourself in order to define your brand and to decide what it is you want people to know and what you're going to tell people about. So we're going to do that for this video. There are other videos which we will get to shortly. And bear with me one moment. This video is for the University of Westminster School of Life Sciences, Starting Your Practice module by Liz Hawkins. My name is Wael Elazab and I will be taking you through some basics, some essentials around social media. Stop saying So really, you do come first, of course. Your practice, your brand and your leadership. You might also be the brand yourself. Do we think that would be easier or harder to maintain? We need to find out. Don't really have a say in how you will be received. You know, it's like that analogy where you throw the ball and once it leaves your hand, you don't have any say in what happens from that point on. So we need to put our best foot forward. These two points here, they also came from your handbook, much as in the previous clip. Oh, and by the way, I do know the sound may be off. I'm trying my best to remedy this. I will maybe we'll know by the time you're watching this video, if I've used an independent audio stream or not. We shall see. These are also taken from your handbook, and much as in the first clip, they are really just you know, the kind of work around which you could focus, centralize your social media efforts. I don't really view trust as currency. Many do online, but it certainly is important to be recognized as an authority in your field. And we know that recent political events have really put the expert, you know, quotation mark, in a bad light. I don't think that's the case across the board at all. And I think it's still very important to reflect that you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about. And as a means of getting that across, social media certainly comes into play. Let us see, I want to show you actually, given that this one is on branding, let me see if I've still got the list up. So here, I mean, you know, obviously these are corporates. If we had, you know, well actually maybe this is something you could do while this is up. Have a look and see if you can find something similar for independents, maybe community enterprises. This is some ideas really, these are some ideas around how you can focus your brand and what it is you'll want to use to define yourself. Again, we need to decide whether your brand is you or it's something else. People do often want to have their own presence on social media independent of their work and their brand, and that can be facilitated. It's really a matter of preference. You'll see here, I mean, you know, none of these will be a surprise, but you know, if you do manage to formalize a few sentences about who you are and what your brand is, you know, these kinds of lists will certainly come into play. Branding. Yes, much like blockchain, known to cause involuntary eye rolling, and migraine headaches and those that hear them. I hear it and say it so often that it even makes the hairs on the back of my hand stand up. Let's see what we're going to talk about. So most of our goals with social media, in this context of starting a new practice, they all stem from and sit upon everything you're covering in this module. Don't think of it as just window dressing. For those looking in, you need to give them an outward image that is representative. Do not think of it being a facade though. It's not just for looks. Or at least if it is, it's not going to take you very far. For the first time in publishing history, you're able to express yourself as you want and to whomever you choose. Now, whether they look or respond, engage is another matter, but a matter that we are concerned with and one that we hope to address here. Choose your salient descriptors, and these don't have to be numerous. Have a top 3 to begin with. Try to talk about them and around them rather than specifically mentioning them. And wherever possible, show these values are representative. So, how well do you know what you do? I want you to take 60 seconds to write it down, starting now. We need 1 or 2 great sentences to kick off, summing up what you are, who you are, and why you do what you do. After all, you've been thinking about starting your own practice for at least the time you've been taking this module. I hope that you appreciate how important this is. We rarely get the opportunity, and when that opportunity presents itself, you need to be ready. This is also an excellent exercise for socials. You have to get used to saying things briefly and being as poignant as you can about it. Alright, you're nearly there. Lights on. Elevator doors opening. So, how did you do? I imagine that 1 minute, as quick as that went, probably wasn't sufficient. So why don't we just rinse that? I really like that music anyway. And I'll give you another 30 seconds, alright? Hang on a sec. Phone's not responding. Here we go. Ready? Okay. Another 30 seconds. At your leisure. Okay, nearly done. I hope you've got something put down. Right. Okay, very good. So, you've got to work on that. You've got to develop it. It is important. And, if you think back to when Twitter started, I think you had enough characters to write like 5 words or something. It was ridiculous. So, get that elevator pitch sorted. You will be able to draw from that throughout your social posting. It's like if you had a movie, you've got to sum up the movie in 1 sentence. Think of it like that. We will move on to the next slide now. Next. Whoever you are, be you. And whatever you want to be, work on becoming that. Transmogrify, and then be that. The food healthful brands that really wind me up. Yogurts, smoothies, even ready meals, labelled up as being good for you, healthy and nutritious. 21 grams of protein, some of them 0 fat, vitamin this and vitamin that. Okay, great. Well, what about the week's worth of sugar in them? And there's more ingredients in this than there are beans in a bean salad. Labelling is getting better, as are we at reading labels. We're being pickier, and we know more about what we want. But wouldn't it be great if there were brands that we could just trust to give us what we want and what we really, really need? That would be a great place for you to live. If you are a practitioner that can be trusted and relied upon to do your level best for all the people, because you can't really have favourites on social. If you have favourites on social, you get called out. However, alternative medicine, where are the prospective patrons on that scale? Of course it will range. So is your brand as inclusive as possible? Or are you practicing something so niche and specialised that no one else is doing it anyway? And how will you position that? Perhaps it's something that everybody benefits from, or is it a particularly unique selection of people? And this is another place to bring up the value in getting social set up early. As a research tool alone, Twitter is outstanding. Bring that up and let you have a quick look. There's much more of this to come in the next video. It'll be my favourite video. It's really all about hands-on and practical application. We're going to get stuck in and get using it. This is the standard twitter.com homepage. There are dashboards that we will look at that also let you, I mean, yes, do the same things, but in a different way and in a more, I think, efficient way, much more streamlined. One being TweetDeck, which Twitter now have. So it's very much integrated, and I highly recommend if you're using Twitter but not TweetDeck that you give it a go, and maybe even set it up for the next video and have it running alongside. Again, if we were in the same physical room, you lot would be giving me direction, so do as much as you can alongside, make a note of questions and pass them on to me. Next, here to dipping our toes in. If you could screenshot this, or pen and paper will do, take a moment and let's map it. Your knowledge is the central concept. We will use that as the food for your promotion. Of what you can see here, which do you use and which would you present your brand with? How would you do that on the other mediums that you're not so friendly with? Get in touch with radio stations, magazines, news outlets, and tell them what you do and that you'd be happy to speak about it should the need arise. Submit features, opinion pieces, let them know you're available for interview. If they needed a guest speaker, all of that can be promoted via socials, and then we'll serve as content. If exhibitions and conferences were going on, you'd be attending, speaking, networking, and so on. So do the same thing on digital. Obviously there's LinkedIn, attend webinars, host webinars. To get things rolling, let's make a start. Say you write 500 words on why complementary and alternative are inaccurate or misleading terms to describe your field. Find good pictures, as many as you can, high res and as high quality as possible, and make 3 independent points within your article. It's only 500 words. If you do that, also make sure that each of those independent points could be turned into 500 words of its own. Now, in your 500 word piece, write 3 sentences about each point. separate sentences that are not worded, don't use the same language, that are not worded the same as within the 500 words. Then I want you to edit those 500 words down to 250. Keep the 500 word piece. Create a new one that's 250 words from it. Now, do all of that, and this is what we're going to have. So, you've got your 500 word blog, and you've got 9 tweets. All should be different. And you've got potentially 1 Instagram post, the 250 word edit. Now, that's something that I need you to try and just sort of see, how feasible is it? Time yourself, how much time does that take? And if you prefer, do a podcast, nothing fancy. It's audio only, can be whatever you like. Interview with a colleague, 2 minutes on what your practice offers. Talk about something you know and care about. This is the kind of content that we need for socials. And you likely have a lot of this already. Think of everything you've ever written or taken a picture of or video clips of. Look at what's on your phone. Everything that you've already created could in theory be repurposed and put out on socials. Now, coming back to the mind map, let's also have a look at how we're going to start that. So, you've got your central concept, your knowledge. Now, we're going to try and isolate topics, possibly to give you ideas for the homework. List the things that you would like people to know. We'd just start with 3 for now. And people, yes, it refers to potential clients, but it also is going to be hopefully attractive to a wider audience, because we want as many people as possible to benefit from what you know. That's all good, and that's all about sharing. Then connect to your central concept. These things, 1 or 2 or 3. Start with the things that you know and you like. Anything that you create for physical media, such as magazines, can also be used in digital. You can absolutely just use the same piece and put it up somewhere on digital. If you don't have a website or a blog, then you can just use Twitter or Instagram or whichever platform you like to point to that article and let people know that that piece is in the magazine. There are many ways you can go about doing this. And obviously, sorry, getting ahead of myself there. Obviously, attending leading exhibitions, conferences and so on. In today's lockdown world, we're actually talking about webinars and digital events, which are very easily led. Do them live. Invite people. Start by inviting colleagues, people that you know who would be interested. Get a few under your belt. And then once you're ready, you can absolutely invite a wider audience and promote them online. So just briefly sort of brought up these windows here for us to have a quick look at. Obviously, I mean, to me, we're often turning to what is referred to as complementary or alternative before we even get to the regular medicine. So for me, it's certainly a valid topic. And should it be therapies? Where is it an alternative therapy, and when does it become a complementary medicine? So let's investigate that. At least that's where I'm coming from. And then in terms of Pinterest, I thought we'd have a look. Is homeopathy under the umbrella of complementary and alternative, or is it alongside? As you can see, lots of interest here on homeopathy. Plenty of content to wade through, and again, as the name suggests, very visual, very attractive, very different on mobile. So we will hopefully do that in the next session. We'll look at some of the main platforms and also try and see what they're like on mobile. They have different functionality and you can do different things with them. The next video, as I have referred to, will be diving in. So it's really going to be getting your hands on, really using the different apps. I mentioned TweetDeck. If you're a user of Twitter, get your TweetDeck on. If you use Instagram, get that on your phone as well as on your computer, and we will delve into them as well as others. We will hopefully get ourselves ready for the world of social. We are also, after that, in another video, going to look at how to organize our time. How do we fit all of this in, on top of our already very busy schedules. Of course, get in touch with any questions. I am more than happy to get back to you, and more than happy to arrange a time to meet online and ideally, have a bit of a discussion via the web on how this all actually works, and deal with your questions in person, or as close to in person as we can. Thank you for being here, and hope you have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next time.